I would now like to ask you to please stand for the colors to be presented. All who are present in uniform should render the military salute. Members of the armed forces and veterans who are not in uniform may render the military salute.
Present! Up!
I would now like to introduce Robert Vincelette, President, Governing Board of Southern Kern Unified School District.
Thank you. Ready? Let's start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, please stay standing for the national anthem.
Order! Up!
Good morning and welcome. What a beautiful day we have today. I can't possibly stand here this morning and thank every single person who was instrumental in making this happen for the community of Roseman. But I thought, being that I'm a superintendent of schools, I want to acknowledge the students who have played an instrumental role this week in service. And I'd like to start by saying that on November 8th and 9th, we welcomed students from all of our 6 schools and from neighboring districts for field trips here to the wall. And I believe the youngest group that came were 2nd graders, all the way up through high school students. And I know that Linda and Stacia, certainly they came prepared with questions, so they were pretty busy during those days. But we have some amazing pictures of these students just really looking at this wall and trying to figure out what this represented. I also want to say that if you look in front of the wall, you will see many beautiful benches. We did not buy those benches. Those were made by our CTE construction trades classes taught by Mr. Paul Eisenzimmer, and I think you would all agree those kids did a beautiful job from Roseman High School. Yes. Throughout this week, we've had many queens here, and they have not had their crowns on, but they've been here all week. I want to first and foremost thank my amazing, beautiful young ladies from the Roseman Court. Last night, I actually saw one dabbing her eyes because she became very emotional with the ceremony last night, and they've been out throughout the week. When it was really cold a few nights, they were here, many of them. And yes. And I also want to thank the queens who came from neighboring community, not only in the Antelope Valley, but also in Kern County. We so appreciate you. People think that being a queen is wearing a crown and a beautiful dress. I can tell you, they serve their communities every single week. It's amazing where all they travel, and always with a smile on their face. So thank you, ladies. Our band today, under the direction of Mr. Mark Clayson, this is Roseman High, part of our marching band. I want to thank you. You guys did an amazing job. I enjoy listening to you every single time. Incredible. Our Cadet Corps and Mr. Captain Charles Wallace. I once heard one of the Cadet Corps members, I don't think they knew I was right behind them, but they said, she always cries. Yeah, I do. That's me, all right. If ever there's a group of students that I get really just overwhelmed looking at these young men and women, it's the Cadet Corps students. They represent us so well, and they give me a sense of optimism for the future of our country. And thank you, Captain Wallace and Cadet Corps. This year we had, as you many have seen, the Battlefield Cross. And this was done by a young lady named Zoe. I don't know if she's here today. She's here? Yes. Zoe, stand up wherever you are. If you're not already standing, you're probably already standing. This was an Eagle Scout project. As you can see, it is amazing. And I met Zoe last night, and I was so happy to hear that she's a student at AVC. Yes, I like that too. So thank you so much, Zoe. And so at this point in time, we tried to get our students as involved, because when I first thought about, could we bring this memorial to the community of Roseman, I did some research on the original AV Wall Committee, and one of their vision was to educate. So I thought, who better to educate and bring awareness to than the students in Southern Kern Unified School District and the neighboring districts. So the old English teacher in me came out, and I asked them to write essays. The topic for the middle school students was, what does service to your country mean to you? And they had to do a 5-paragraph essay, certain font, lots of requirements. And I would like to announce the winner, but before I do that, I'd like to ask Anna Zarley from Assemblyman Tom Lackey's office to join me, because Assemblyman Lackey has also made certificates for these 3 winners. So students, if you are here, please come up, because I also have your checks. So please feel free to join me on stage. All right. The winner for the middle school, Tropico Middle School, and we received several essays. I read them all, and then I brought in a committee of 2 other readers, so it wasn't just the ones I thought, and we narrowed it down to 12. We then went to 6. We then went to 3. So the winner from Tropico Middle School is Lynette McReynolds. Lynette, are you here today? Lynette will be receiving her essay in a special folder and also a $100 check.
So on behalf of Assemblyman Tom Lackey, 34th District, we'd like to say congratulations. And I want to just go ahead, I'm going to see if I can do this without my glasses. It is my honor to recognize you as a winner of the Vietnam Day Essay Contest. Your commitment, hard work, and dedication to learning and understanding the meaning of service to our country are truly worthy recognition. Congratulations on behalf of Assemblyman Tom Lackey.
All right, now, from Roseman High Early College Campus, we have 2 winners, and they both, not a first and a second, they're both just winners, and their essays are amazing. Yeah, these kids did a really great job. Coincidentally, I didn't know this at the time, but when I heard who their teacher was, Mrs. Veronica Carr, who's also in the audience today someplace, I'm not sure where, just happened to be Kern County's Teacher of the Year. So, interesting, huh? So the first winner that I would like to call up and to receive her check of $250 is Betsy Rodriguez.
We saw all those motorcycles. And through the cold summer. I'm kind of hungry.
And our second winner from Roseman High School is another outstanding essay. It was hard reading all these essays. I teared up more than once, let me tell you. Is Carrie Bean.
A happy Veterans Day to you. Could you, if you're not already standing, could you stand up so we can acknowledge you and your service to our country? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if everybody except Mr. Jerry Rice could have a seat. Jerry, I'm going to ask you to come on up here. Jerry is our guest speaker today. And he is a native of Santa Monica, California, who was drafted into the U.S. Army in 1968. Jerry served in Vietnam as a scout dog handler, 33rd IPSD 11 Bravo, 1969-1970. Jerry and his young family, his wife Carol, moved to the Antelope Valley in 1975. Jerry is currently a marriage and family therapist. He was part of the original staff of the VA Antelope Valley Vet Center from 2009 to 2015. He is currently in private practice as a marriage and family therapist, seeing mostly veterans through the VA Care in the Community program. Jerry was instrumental in supporting the founding of the Vets for Veterans program, and he now serves as president of that nonprofit organization. He works extensively with the Vets for Veterans training program to assist veterans making the transition from military to civilian life in the community. Jerry also was an original founding member of the Mobile Vietnam Memorial Committee. So I would like to introduce Mr. Jerry Rice.
Today, back in my youth, I went to schools in Santa Monica up until the time it was time for high school, and after that, well, starting out, my culture is I have two pretty high-spirited cultures. I'm Irish and Mexican. So on my dad's side, I'm Irish. On my mom's side, I'm Mexican. So the Mexican side kind of overruled, so I grew up listening to corridos and mariachis and eating Mexican food that was just delicious. And my mother would struggle with things like biscuits and, what do you call it, stewed chickens and things like that. Unbelievable, poor thing. But I'm the firstborn in that family, and I'm the one that looks like my dad, the gringo. So I was kind of the widow in the family, if you understand that from the Mexican culture. And so my godfather, Caterino Martinez, when I was about 3 years old, used to chase me around the house and try to stick me in my grandmother's Wedgwood oven to brown me up. So that was the game we played. My therapist would probably think that was traumatic, but I thought it was pretty funny. And I'll tell you, he was a pretty scary-looking guy. At one point, I thought he was the Cucuy, which was the Mexican boogeyman.
Sorry, that's my daughter.
And that ties in.
That's not there. I'm dead.
Without a doubt.
She's like, close enough.
So, my freshman year of going into high school, my father moved from Santa Monica, where I lived right across the street from Santa Monica High School, and all the kids that I went to school with from elementary school to junior high school were going to go to Samo High, and I ended up at Venice High School, where I met a friend by the name of Buzz Hummel. And Buzz Hummel had this girlfriend, and he was kind of bragging about her, and he brought her by my house one day while I was sticking a knife in a palm tree for some reason, nothing better to do. And outstepped out of that 56 Ford station wagon was my lovely wife, Carol Marie Fitzgerald. I knew right off that she was too good for him, so I helped him out. Yes, I was Jody. He joined the Marine Corps in 1967, and I married his girlfriend in 1967. And we've been married for 56 years, so she gets really mad when I say I want to introduce you to my first wife, Carol. But she's been very, very attentive in my life, and it's been all good. Finally. So I was graduated in 1966. I got married in 1967. Uncle Sam decided they couldn't win the war in Vietnam without me, so I was drafted in 68, where I went to Fort Ord, California, and spent, hoorah, right? And then I spent 69 to 70 in Vietnam. At Fort Ord, California, I was trained in the arts and skills of storming the beaches of Normandy, which was not theater specific to Vietnam. They didn't make the shift to theater specific training for quite a while. They needed to crank out grunts, and I was one of those infantrymen. I was one of those left right kind of soldiers instead of left right left. I learned all the things I thought were going to keep me alive, and the rest I thought, what are they going to do, fire me or send me home? I don't think so. So with that kind of rebellious attitude, they saw some leadership skills in me. So after advanced infantry training, they sent me to NCO school. It's non-commissioned officer school at Fort Benning, Georgia. And if you ever wanted any preparation for going to Nam, go to Georgia. Nam was a vacation. They sent me to NCO school, and I was trying to figure out, my mother raised ugly kids, not dumb ones, and I figured out that they needed this sergeant school because they were losing sergeants at such a rate in Vietnam. They had to make them in this, what we call the shake and bake sergeant school. Remember shake and bake chicken? Well, that's where that came from. 12 weeks from a private to an E5. I decided that was not for me. So I went to the colonel running that school, and I said, upon completion of the 12-week course, sir, full bird colonel standing there in front of him, I said, I will not accept the commission. And I said, excuse me, sir, the non-commission. Don't get smart with me, son. And I'm cranking out push-ups in front of this full bird colonel. He challenged my manhood, my patriotism, my sexual orientation. It's unbelievable. But I said, nevertheless, however, moreover, I'm not going to accept that E5. Please send me to Vietnam. I went to the personnel office, filled out a D 1039, I think it is, the dream sheet. Any of you make one of those out? I asked to be stationed in Culver City if it was stateside. They said there's no forts in Culver City. I said, well, got good food there, but where do you want to go overseas? I said, Vietnam. They said, you're 11 Bravo. That's an infantry MOS, Where do you think you're going? Well, I wanted to be my idea. So I volunteered for Vietnam. I'm thinking I'm going to speed up the process of getting over there, but it was not to be. After a couple of weeks in casual company, they sent me to scout dog school. I'm going, oh my God, what's this going to be like? It's going to be hard enough taking care of myself over there across the pond, and now I'm going to be taking care of a 90-pound German Shepherd. So I went to the chaplain, no joke. I went to the chaplain. The chaplain was Merlin Carruthers, who wrote a book called From Prison to Praise. I remember that after I got out of the military, I saw that on a Christian bookstore bookshelf. And I said to that man that I am phobic of dogs. I was attacked by a dog as a small child. It wasn't pretty. He said, son, we all have our crosses to bear. Get your butt back to scout dog school. And I'll tell you what, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because that dog only could be in the field for 3 weeks at a time. Wherever that dog went, I went. So with a little manipulation, I kind of worked Vietnam on my schedule. But for the first time, I was being trained theater specifically. I was taught how to, work this dog, and he was teaching me how to read his alerts. So they were designed to provide us early silent warning of ambushes, snipers, booby traps, IEDs, punji pits, etc. But for the benefit of having that training that was Vietnam specific, I'd be walking up in front for a year in Vietnam. 3 weeks at a time rather than 3 months at a time. That's a good bet. So while I was in country, I saw people killed on both sides. I saw attacks on our base. We had our perimeter penetrated at one point. We had 14 wounded and 6 KIA when VC sappers got into our compound. After a full bird colonel had us lock up our weapons in a weapons cache, weapons connex, and issued weapons cards on a fire base in Vietnam, which was ill-advised. Yeah. I didn't comply. I had a 1897 trench gun shotgun. I had that under my mattress, and I had my M16 under my mattress. I had 30 magazines, and so did my friend Al Bogatitis. We kept our stuff out of those weapons rooms, and 2 o'clock in the morning we were hit after that order was given. So I saw that kind of trauma. And towards the end of my tour, my dog he died of gastric splenic torsion. His stomach flipped over his intestines. It happens to horses when they roll. You agricultural types out here in Rosemont know about such things. And my dog died of gastric torsion, so I lost him. So there's some trauma stacked on there. And so in August 6th of 1970, I was scheduled to rotate out of country. So it's time for me to go home. And I couldn't wait. I thought all I need to do is get back on the block and find me a hamburger, drink a big glass of milk, and I don't even like milk. But I'm going to get back home and I'm going to see my lady. And and everything's going to be all right. Well, that lasted about a week, and not that there was anything wrong with my family or anything like that, but it was just I wasn't ready to come back. I wasn't ready to engage in the life after Vietnam. I had what they called at the time Vietnam syndrome, but what I had was raging PTSD. I had nightmares, intrusive thoughts, exaggerated startle response, and I had an attitude that said Disneyland is not the happiest place on earth. It's a target-rich environment. Can I get an amen on that? Hey, yeah, there you go. See, I thought I was crazy. Yeah. So growing up, my kids endured that. I did a lot of self-medicating with alcohol. I worked jobs where I could be out in the field mostly, where I could put pipeline in the ground and be a little rough around the edges as par for the course. And so I had my own squad, and I had Vietnam veterans that were backhoe operators and pipe fitters and welders on my crew. They were doing the same thing that I was doing. It was good money, and I didn't have to conform to those things like management and others. If I got the job done, it didn't matter much about my behavior, except that didn't work very well at home. So we got to a point in our marriage where it was getting sketchy. We were separated, and there was a possibility of my losing my wife and my family. I have 2 grown children now, a son and a daughter, and they've been really wonderful, graced us both with 3 grandchildren each, and on my son's side we got 2 great-grandchildren. So I'm very blessed as a veteran. But things needed to change. So around 2002, this mobile Vietnam wall came to the Lancaster Park. That's what it was called back then. And my wife said, I think you ought to go to that. And so I concurred. I think I ought to go too. At Vets for Veterans, she's called a sergeant major. You don't want to mess with her. So I had her fashion me a roll top hat, like a boonie hat. I had her sew a subdued 4th ID patch on the front, and on the back I had, from a Vietnamese shop, I had one of those makeshift patches for the CIB, the Combat Infantry Badge, or the CI Been There badge for all you infantrymen. And I had the 33rd Scout Dog Platoon patch on the back of my wannabe boonie hat. And I walked into that situation. Some crusty old cob says, "Where did you get that hat? Out of that Cracker Jack?" And I turned around, it was Bill Miller, Special Forces A-Team Sergeant. The guy gave me a big hug, welcomed me home. So I was looking for some names there. I was looking for Sergeant Moore, who was killed by a booby trap that I didn't find because I wasn't on the job that day. It was a grenade in a can. Somebody I really grew to admire and like a lot. With 50 days left in country. He was an old guy. He was about 26. Killed by a booby trap that I should have found. I was looking for Ken Burlock, a guy that was a washout from OCS, and he had become a dog handler, and he had lasted a month in Vietnam on the point position. I was looking for him. I was looking for my cousin. Yeah. Stephen Catarino Martinez, who a year before me went through that shake and bake sergeant school, and he took the stripes, and he got in country June 25th, 1968, and he lived until August 20th of 68. 5 days short of 2 months in country. And I found him on the wall. I just checked in with him a little while ago. So I not only found names on a wall, I found people at the wall. I found George Palermo. You guys know George? Great guy. Italian stallion. He belonged to that Marine Corps Air Force, whatever that is. Those hair wingers. I met Mike Rattel, ground pounder, grunt extraordinaire. I met Larry Pratt, also a grunt, with the 101st Airborne, as was Mike. Gosh. I met Steve Baker in a new way, hanging out there at the wall. Yes, it was. So what I found when I found those people, I found people that understood me. I found people that accepted me. I found people that embraced me and could finish my sentences. It was remarkable. It was unbelievable. I couldn't get enough of it. I was terrified when I walked in there, but when people started welcoming me home and friend of veterans. So it is my life to help veterans. At one time, I touted the phrase, "It don't mean nothing. I can make it on my own. I don't need anybody's help. You know, a little Budweiser will cure anything, right?" But I'll tell you, meeting the people at the wall has been so significant in my life. And when this wall was built, I got to be part of that. I got a job at the VA. Can you believe that stuff? You know, who's checking these people? You know, 2009, I got to open up the vet center in Palmdale. It was just wonderful. It was wonderful. And Stacia was telling me that some people had seen my name in the program, and they said that I had counseled them at one point. So I can't say enough about the veteran. We are those living testimonies. We are living proof that we can live through anything. You've been through. Yeah. It's a story of my life. Boy, edit that one out, would you? Yeah, we can do anything. We've been through so much. We know what sacrifice, duty, honor, commitment, loyalty, we know what it's all about. And what I did learn, that part of healing, what I learned from Mike and George and Larry, is that helping others is where you find healing for yourself. We have a whole new group of warriors coming back from combat. The Iraq War, these guys are coming back. It's been 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. They're looking back at their trauma that they received 20 years ago, and I get the honor and privilege of getting to counsel them through my private practice and through our Chow Health Therapy and hanging out at Armed Services Auto, where we are in the casual there, but I get to provide some age-old wisdom from this old guy to these new troops on how they can live better with what they've been through. So thank you for your service. God bless you, and God bless America.
Vietnam War. I know you're talking about the Iraq veterans coming home, and their ordeal was 20 years ago. Well, it's kind of hard to imagine that the Vietnam War is 50 years ago, and we are honored to be a member of the 50th commemoration, and we try at every event that we do to honor our Vietnam veterans, and it is my privilege to invite up here to speak Alec Lang, who is the outreach specialist for the United States of America Vietnam War commemoration. So Alec is going to give you a little bit of information about what that means to be a partner, and then we'll do our pin presentation at the end of that. So please wait for instructions. Alec, it's all yours now.
We'll make it work. All right. Or maybe we won't. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm just going to hold this here. How's that? Or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, when I spoke with Steve Willis a couple months ago when he was telling me about this event, he wanted someone from the commemoration to come down. He said two things. One, you're going to be following a speaker and you're not going to win, so make it short. Thank you, brother. Those are great words. Thank you so much. And as an educator, you'll be happy to hear this. I told him, no problem, Steve. I can knock it down to 240 PowerPoint slides. So, just kidding. So, good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to come here. My name is Alec Lang. Don't let the hair fool you. I'm a retired lieutenant colonel and a retired police officer. But I work with a couple of NCOs, and I know this has got all their chevrons up in a hackle. The reality is I'm just the last bit of vanity. I'm trying to cover up a bald spot. So I am an outreach specialist working with the United States of America Vietnam War Commemoration. We represent the Department of Defense. It is a Department of Defense activity run out of the Washington Headquarters Service. Our primary purpose is to thank Vietnam veterans and their families for their service and their sacrifice. A lot of people ask why we picked some of the dates that we did for including people as Vietnam veterans. And the simple answer is someone much smarter than me when this first started said we were going to use the same standard that they used for World War II veterans. Service anywhere in the world during that time period, you were a World War II veteran. The reason being, no one gets to choose, especially in a big conflict. No one necessarily gets to choose. You can do a dream sheet. I did mine. There was nothing on that dream sheet that even remotely resembled where I wanted to go. So you can do a dream sheet, but you don't necessarily get the pick. And even if you do get the pick, it doesn't mean that's where you're going to stay. So service anywhere, service to the cause, is service to the nation. So if you use that same parameter, they also came out with a lapel pin. So those of you who are history buffs, the World War II service lapel pin is called the Ruptured Duck. That's the nickname, because it's an eagle that's flying sideways, and leave it to veterans to come up with a great name. So we followed that standard. So 9 million people served on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces in the time period from November 1st of 1955 to May 15th of 1975. Why are those dates important? Well, in 1955, November 1st is the day that Advisory Group Indochina became Advisory Group Vietnam, starting our commitment. May 15th of 1975, for those history buffs, that is the day that was the last battle where the Marines were trying to liberate the captured sailors from USS Mayaguez. And those are the last names that are on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. So 9 million people served on active duty. And as directed by Congress, no distinction is made between where those veterans served, whether it was in country, in theater, or stationed elsewhere. You couldn't self-determine. All served the nation. All served the cause. And each of those people and their families deserve our profound thanks and respect. So today, the distinction and privilege to continue that mission of reaching out to honor those veterans and their families. As a modest but heartfelt lasting memento of the nation's gratitude, they designed the Vietnam Veteran lapel pin. Briefly explain what that looks like. It's a 3/4 inch diameter circle. Inside the center of it is a North American bald eagle, traditional symbol of the United States. And that eagle's head represents courage, honor, dedication to service. If you look on the lapel pin in the upper right-hand corner, you'll start to see bars, and that represents the nation's flag that it's overlaid on. Upper left-hand corner, 6 stars, representing the United States and our 5 coalition partners that we fought alongside with. On the outside is a blue circle, which is the same color as the canton on the American flag. And on the reverse, because it's designed as a lapel pin to be closest to that veteran's heart, it's engraved, "A grateful nation thanks and honors you." So Soon, it'll be our privilege to present those Vietnam veteran lapel pins on behalf of a nation to each of our Vietnam veterans in attendance who have never received it. Sergeant Major Stacia will give the instructions. So veterans, if there's anyone here tonight who served during those time periods in the military, on active duty at any time between November 1st of 1955 and May 15th of 1975, regardless of location, we invite you to come up and be presented. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless our Vietnam veterans.